Hello and welcome. We're so glad that you could join us today. I'm Julia Yeary, Director of Military Family Projects at 0 to 3.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Gregory Leskin. I serve as Program Director for Military Families for the National Child Traumatic Stress Network. It's a real pleasure to be with you today. Today, Julia and I will be discussing helping children to develop healthy habits. In his famous commencement speech, Admiral McRaven suggested to graduates that if they make their beds the first thing in the morning, then they are completing their first task. Completing this task gives a person a great sense of pride and will encourage the individual to continue to perform additional tasks. If followed, by the end of the day, there'll be many successive tasks completed. He focuses his speech on taking the time and valuing smaller tasks in order to accomplish the larger tasks and goals of the day. This is a great example, not only of intentional habit formation, but also habit stacking. The idea that once a habit is established, it is possible and highly desirable to add habits to that existing successful habits to encourage additional successes. There are many excellent books on this subject, including Tiny Habits, Atomic Habits, and The Power of Habit. Each of these books discusses how people form habits and the important role positive and negative habits can play in our ability to solve problems and respond to life's demands and challenges. Habits are learned behaviors and thoughts, repeated so many times that they become automatic. Habits are repeated without much thought to the action, such as turning on the light switch when we enter a dark room. Habits become very efficient ways to do things with very little effort. Importantly, as parents, we teach children to develop healthy habits that they can make automatic as they grow more independent and navigate more complex challenges. Of course, most parents will share that they spend a good amount of their waking time and energy teaching their children basic habits around cleaning themselves and their environment, healthy eating, exercise and movement, not to mention studying and reading. Just as we hear Admiral McRaven discuss the importance of making your bed as the first task, it is critical too that parents model and teach these important lessons about good habit formation and habit stacking with their children. Parents have an important role to teach their children about how to intentionally develop habits and give them one of the greatest gifts, the ability to think about their own habits and make changes and self-improvements in their lives. Also, parents and caregivers have a critical role to teach their children about how they develop their thinking habits so that the child develops healthy, automatic thoughts about themselves and has positive thoughts about their relationships with others and thinks healthy thoughts about their bodies and minds and their emotions. Also, teaching about ways to build new healthy habits after a move or a change in location can be a very helpful way to work together and build new family structure after a disruption of routine. This is also a great way to enhance family resilience.
Patience is the number one trait parents need to have when you're trying to help your young child develop healthy habits. There's so much that a young brain is trying to learn, including impulse control. It's so tough to follow through on a task that your parents want you to have as a habit when there's so much out there to distract you, right? I love the experiment that was done with 2, 3, and 4-year-olds. Some of you might have seen this on YouTube called the marshmallow experiment. It was originally done by Dr. Walter Mischel and his colleagues at Stanford. We're going to be sharing one of the many videos of this in a link below if you haven't seen it. There's so many factors in child learning to delay gratification in order to get a reward. But this experiment is a great illustration of how a child's development influences their ability to do something now for a reward later, or to not do something in order to get a reward. The same is true when you think of avoiding a negative consequence, like no dessert unless the task is done. In the experiment, researchers gave a child a marshmallow. They just put it on a plate in front of them. And they were told that they could have another if they didn't eat the marshmallow for 15 minutes. If they delayed their impulse to eat that marshmallow, they would have two marshmallows to enjoy. Now, many 3-year-olds could wait, and most 4-year-olds could wait, but 2-year-olds could not wait. Why? Because they don't have the developmental capacity to understand what 15 minutes means, and their brain is focused on what's right in front of them. It's really quite funny to see the 3-year-olds doing things like sitting on their hands and turning their back to the marshmallow, or singing in order to distract themselves. This is evidence of great problem-solving skills. But most of the 2-year-olds just picked that marshmallow up and popped it right into their mouth as soon as the researcher left the room. They didn't understand that waiting would be better for them. This is really important for you to know as parents, as you try to help your young child develop healthy habits. To help your child really develop a healthy habit requires you to do a lot of work up front. And the reward, which you can understand but they can't, will last the child's whole life. Let's break it down. Let's say you want your child to learn to make their bed every day when they wake up. Well, it starts by letting your child see you make your bed every day and help, and also watch you making the child's bed. As soon as your child's able to, say around 18 months or so, they can start by picking up the pillows that have fallen off the bed and bringing them to you, or helping to put all the stuffed animals into the corner with your help. This phase of habit development involves learning through observation. As your child gets older, they can begin to take on some of the tasks with your help. You let your child do as much as they are able to do, and then you assist with the parts that they can't do. Your child is then going to be able to move from doing it with lots of help from you, then do with a little help from you, until finally you only have to be a cheerleader from the sidelines. Notice that you still are there with your child. Yes, for young children, it's really important that you are there. They need your presence. This whole process is called scaffolding, providing just enough support for your child so that you can help them succeed. That period of being a cheerleader really helps your child to see the joy that you have in seeing them be successful. And that becomes your child's biggest reward, is seeing how happy you are. The way early development works is a child may be able to do more one day on their own, and then the very next day require lots of help from you, depending on things like how much sleep they had, or if they're feeling upside down about any changes in the household, like a new baby or a parent's absence, or really just their mood that day. They will need you to be their coach, supporting them just enough until they begin to find their own intrinsic joy from seeing the task done.
As a military parent, it might be very helpful to think about ways to support your child or youth's development of healthy habits by stacking and chaining habits through your own practice of kindness, mindfulness, and patience. Many children will specifically recall a time their parents took the time and effort to really help them learn a new skill that became a long-standing healthy habit for them, one in which they learn to do each day and practice till they perform that task each day at the same time in the same place. Think about a habit that you and your child would benefit from working on together. Next, try to think about the process of showing your child this healthy habit. How will you model the habit for your child? How will you describe it to them? How will you both decide when and where the habit will be done and how often to do that task? How will you remain patient as the child maybe sometimes doesn't follow up the next time, and encourage them to return. One way to help children to think about their habits is to make a list of some of their morning habits. Start the list with of their activities when they first wake up, and then help them think about all the things that they might do throughout the morning. We call this a habit scorecard, and it simply allows us to think with our children about the things we do on a regular basis to raise awareness of our activities. If there are activities that your child really likes every morning, like reading a book, you can work on stacking another positive habit to that activity, such as making their bed or maybe practicing their math homework. If there is a habit for playing with toys, but without a habit of putting toys away afterwards, we could work on developing a long-term habit that will help the child learn about organization and responsibilities with their toys. Thinking about these issues as a process to develop healthy habits with our children may be a helpful frame for parents to work together too. It is very important to try to observe and review the list of daily habits without being overly critical or celebrating successes or getting too drawn into a discussion about differences or goals. Our entire goal of this activity is to really give each family member an opportunity to recognize our own habits, our automatic behaviors and thoughts. Working with our children to recognize and become aware of our habits early also allows them to build a process of self-reflection, as well as the knowledge and skills that they can make changes and self-improvement in their own lives. The essential goal is to help children learn the ability to know and think about their own habits, and with their parents' support and encouragement, build new healthy habits.
Most parents I know want to start their young child off with healthy eating habits. I want to share a link below that really helps you to kind of think about things, trying to get your kids to eat healthy right from the beginning. The article, Starting Early, Healthy Eating Habits, you'll see the link. Now, I know for me, what was really important was for my child to learn healthy sleep habits because I needed my own healthy sleep, right? So I'm also including a link for you that has a podcast of Dr. Jody Mendel. She describes what to expect around sleep in the first 3 years, how to encourage good sleep habits, and how to cope with common sleep challenges. I think these articles really help you kind of get started in thinking about working with a child, even from the very early age, on developing those healthy habits you want to see in their behavior. As you help to facilitate your own healthy habits and the healthy habits of your children, remember, there's always a place to go to get more information and support. Please call Military One Source to connect with a military family life counselor at any time. We appreciate all that you do for your families and for your country. And until next time, thank you and be well.
Thank you so much.